The Ruthless King's 3 Silent Weapons. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you, most men will never understand. There is a kind of man the world cannot touch. He doesn't shout, he doesn't beg, he doesn't explain himself. He moves through rooms like a shadow with a crown, and by the time you realize he is dangerous, it is already too late. This man is not loud. He is not loved by everyone. He doesn't need to be. He is respected, feared, studied, avoided by fools and sought after by the wise. He is a king without a kingdom, because the only throne that matters sits inside his own mind. 500 years ago, a man named Machiavelli wrote down the laws of this kind of power. Not the power of titles, not the power of money, the power of control. Control over your tongue. Control over your face. Control over time itself. And tonight, I am going to hand you 3 of his sharpest weapons. 3 silent weapons the Ruthless King carries at all times. 3 weapons that once you learn them will make you untouchable. But before we begin, I want you to do one thing. Comment the words "I rule" in silence. Right now. Type it. Lock it in. Because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why those 4 words are the first law of dark power. Stay with me. The throne is waiting. The truth about power. Let me tell you something the world will never admit out loud. Power is not given. Power is not earned through politeness. Power is not handed to the man with the loudest voice or the brightest smile. Power belongs to the man who understands human nature and refuses to be ruled by it. Machiavelli saw this 5 centuries ago. He watched kings rise. He watched kings fall, and he discovered a truth so cold, so sharp, that men still flinch when they hear it. The truth is this: most people are not loyal. Most people are not honest. Most people are not your friends. They are mirrors. They reflect whatever serves them in the moment. Feed them and they smile. Threaten them and they vanish. Elevate them and they envy you. Fall and they forget your name before your body hits the ground. This is not cruelty. This is reality. The weak man hears this and breaks. The ruthless king hears this and adapts. He stops expecting loyalty he hasn't engineered. He stops begging for love from people who only respect strength. He stops explaining himself to minds too small to understand him. He becomes calm, calculated, quiet, dangerous. You see, the average man is ruled by emotion. He reacts, he vents, he confesses. He bleeds his thoughts into every conversation like a wound that will not close. The ruthless king does the opposite. He observes, he waits, he measures every word like gold poured onto a scale. Because power is not noise, power is restraint. And once you accept this truth, once you stop expecting the world to be fair, you stop being its victim. You become its student, then its master. Comment "I rule" in silence again. Burn it into your bones. The first silent weapon, the tongue that never slips. The first weapon of the ruthless king is the one most men lose before they ever learn to use it. His tongue. Look around you. Listen to how people speak. They spill everything. Their plans, their fears, their wounds, their next move. They hand strangers the blueprint of their own destruction and call it conversation. They confuse talking with connection. They confuse honesty with wisdom. And then they wonder why they are betrayed, why they are mocked, why doors close in their face the moment they turn their back. The ruthless king learned this lesson long ago. The mouth is not a door. The mouth is a gate. And a gate that never closes is no protection at all. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler reveals nothing he is not willing to lose. Nothing. Not his strategy. Not his timeline. Not his pain. Not his ambition. Because the moment your enemy knows what you want, he knows how to stop you. The moment your rival knows what you fear, he knows how to break you. The moment the world knows your next move, the world prepares its counterattack. So the king speaks less. He listens more. He asks questions that pull truth out of others, while revealing nothing of himself. He lets silence do the heavy lifting. He understands that a closed mouth is a fortress, and an open mouth is an open wound. When he must speak, he speaks with weight. Short, clean, precise, no filler, no apology, no nervous laughter. Every sentence lands like a blade placed gently on the table, not swung, but seen. And that is enough. Practice this, starting tonight. Before you speak, ask yourself one question. Does this need to be said by me right now? If the answer is no, swallow it. Let it die in your chest. That swallowed sentence is power saved for war. Comment "I rule in silence" one more time, because your tongue is the first throne you must learn to sit on. The second silent weapon, the face that reveals nothing. The second weapon of the ruthless king is carved from something even more dangerous than words: his face. Most men are read like open books. Their eyes flicker when they are insulted. Their jaw tightens when they are jealous. Their smile cracks when they are losing. Their shoulders drop when they are afraid. They walk into every room broadcasting their inner world to anyone sharp enough to read it. And the predators of this world are always reading, always watching, always cataloging weakness for the moment it can be used against you. The ruthless king refuses to be read. His face is a locked vault. Calm when insulted, calm when praised, calm when threatened, calm when offered everything he has ever wanted. Because he understands a law most men never learn. The man who controls his face controls the room. The man who cannot is owned by everyone in it. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that a prince must learn to be a great pretender, not to deceive the innocent, but to survive among wolves. Because in this world, your reactions are currency. Every flinch is information. Every sigh is a confession. Every burst of anger is a map handed to your enemy showing exactly where to strike next. So the king trains his face the way a soldier trains his hands. He practices stillness. He practices the unbothered stare. He practices the small, patient smile that says nothing and means everything. When someone tries to provoke him, he does not rise. He observes. When someone tries to flatter him, he does not melt. He measures. When someone tries to wound him, he does not bleed in public. He bleeds later, alone, in a place no one will ever see. This is not coldness. This is mastery. Because emotion is sacred, too sacred to be wasted on people who have not earned the right to witness it. Your tears are not for the crowd. Your rage is not for the comment section. Your joy is not for those who will twist it into envy. Guard your face. Guard your reactions. Guard the small movements no one thinks you notice. They are noticing. They are always noticing. Drop "I rule in silence" in the comments again. Stillness is your second crown. The third silent weapon, the patience of a predator. The third weapon of the ruthless king is the one that separates the boys from the men, the noise from the kings, the dreamers from the dangerous. His patience. Look at the world around you. Everyone is in a hurry. Everyone wants the prize today, the promotion this week, the respect this month, the empire by the end of the year. They chase, they beg, they force, they push doors that were never meant to open for them. And when the doors do not move, they break. They quit, They lash out. They expose themselves to anyone watching as men who cannot wait, men who cannot endure, men who cannot be trusted with real power. The ruthless king is built differently. He has the patience of a predator. He understands that timing is the invisible blade behind every great move ever made. The lion does not chase. The lion waits. He studies the herd. He studies the wind. He studies the weakest leg, the slowest step. The moment the prey forgets it is being watched. And then, in one motion, the hunt ends before the prey even knew it began. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, but he also knew that boldness without timing is suicide. The king who moves too early is destroyed by men stronger than him. The king who moves too late is forgotten by history. But the king who moves at the exact right moment, when his enemy is tired, distracted, overconfident, or alone, that king becomes legend. So you must learn to wait. Not the lazy waiting of the coward who calls his fear patience. Not the bitter waiting of the man who has given up and calls his surrender strategy. I am talking about the active, hunting, watching kind of waiting. The kind where you are sharpening your blade in the dark while the world thinks you have done nothing. The kind where you are learning, building, observing, planning, silently, constantly, while everyone else is performing for applause. Let them rush. Let them stumble. Let them announce every move and burn out before the real game begins. You stay quiet. You stay ready. You stay watching. Because the man who can wait longer than everyone else eventually inherits everything they could not hold. Patience is not weakness. Patience is the most violent form of confidence there is. It says, I know what is coming. I do not need to chase it. I will be standing here when it arrives. Type 1, rule in silence in the comments. The hunt has already begun. The dark psychology of being underestimated. Now listen closely, because what I am about to tell you is the secret weapon hidden inside the other three. The dark psychology of being underestimated. Most men want to be seen. They want to be admired. They want every stranger in every room to know how smart they are, how strong they are, how successful they are about to become. So they perform. They flex. They drop hints. They post their wins. They announce their plans like trumpets before a battle, and in doing so, they hand the world a target painted directly over their chest. The ruthless king does the opposite. He hides his blade. He hides his intelligence. He hides the depth of his ambition behind a face so ordinary, so quiet, so unremarkable that his enemies never even think to defend against him. They laugh at him. They overlook him. They speak carelessly in front of him. They underestimate him at every turn. And that is exactly where he wants them. Machiavelli understood a truth darker than most men can stomach. The world does not attack what it does not fear, so the wise prince hides his strength until the moment it must be used. He lets fools believe he is one of them. He lets rivals believe he is harmless. He lets the loud men dominate the conversation while he quietly studies every word, every weakness, every alliance forming in the room. By the time they realize what he truly is, the game is already over. The pieces have already moved. The trap has already closed. This is why arrogance is the disease of weak men. Arrogance announces itself. Arrogance demands recognition. Arrogance cannot stand being unseen. But the king does not need to be seen. He needs to win. And winning quietly is sweeter than winning loudly, because the man who wins in silence keeps his crown longer than the man who celebrates too soon. So learn this: when you walk into a room, do not perform. Observe. When someone underestimates you, do not correct them. Thank them silently. They have just given you an advantage they will never know they handed over. Let them think you are simple. Let them think you are slow. Let them think you are no threat. While they are sleeping on you, you are sharpening every blade you own. The world belongs to the man it never saw coming. Remember that. Drop "I rule" in silence in the comments one more time. Because the most dangerous king is the one no one knew was a king at all. The law of emotional detachment. Now we step into deeper waters. Because everything I have taught you so far, the silent tongue, the unreadable face, the patience of a predator, the art of being underestimated, every one of those weapons rests on a single foundation. And without this foundation, none of them will hold. The foundation is emotional detachment. Hear me carefully. I am not telling you to become a man without feeling. I am not telling you to become cold, hollow, or cruel. The man who kills his emotions becomes a ghost, and ghosts do not rule kingdoms. What I am telling you is far more precise. The ruthless king feels everything. He simply refuses to be governed by what he feels. There is a difference, and that difference is the line between the man who is used by the world and the man who uses it. Look at the average man. His mood is a flag in the wind. Someone insults him, and he burns for hours. Someone praises him, and he floats for days. A woman ignores him, and his entire week collapses. A boss criticizes him, and he cannot sleep. His emotions are the steering wheel of his life, and any stranger with a sharp tongue can grab that wheel and drive him off a cliff. He calls this being human. The king calls it being a slave. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must be willing to act against mercy, against faith, against humanity, against religion when his survival demands it. He was not preaching evil, he was preaching freedom. Freedom from the emotional chains that ordinary men mistake for virtues. Because the man who must be liked cannot lead. The man who must be understood cannot move in silence. The man who must be loved by everyone will eventually be ruled by anyone. So the king practices detachment like a discipline. When something hurts him, he does not run from the pain. He sits with it. He studies it. He asks, why does this wound me? What part of me is still soft here? What lesson is hidden inside this fire? He turns every insult into information, every betrayal into education, every loss into iron poured directly into his spine. By the time the world tries to break him a second time, there is nothing left to break. He has already rebuilt himself out of every wound they ever gave him. This is the dark psychology most men will never understand. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the forge. The men who are crushed by it remain boys forever. The men who walk into it willingly become kings. You stop avoiding hard conversations. You stop avoiding hard truths. You stop avoiding the mirror. You stop avoiding the silence that shows you who you really are when no one is watching. And in that silence, you build a self that the world cannot shake, because it was built by the very things the world used to try to destroy you. This is the man who cannot be manipulated, cannot be flattered into stupidity, cannot be provoked into mistakes, cannot be seduced into betraying his own mission. He is free, and freedom, real freedom, is the rarest crown a man can wear. Comment "I rule" in silence again. Detachment is the throne beneath your throne, the art of reading men. Now I am going to teach you something the ruthless king practices every single day of his life. Something so quiet, so constant, so subtle, that the men around him never realize it is happening. The art of reading men. Every person who walks into your life is a book. Most men never learn to read. They see only the cover, the smile, the handshake, the compliment, the title on the business card. They take people at face value, and then they are shocked when those same people lie to them, betray them, use them, or disappear the moment things get hard. They call it bad luck. The king calls it bad observation. Because here is the truth. People are constantly telling you who they are. Constantly. With every word they choose. With every word they avoid. With the way their eyes move when money is mentioned. With the way they speak about people who are not in the room. With who they laugh at. With who they envy. With what makes them defensive. With what makes them go quiet. The signals are everywhere, screaming at you, if you only learn to listen. Machiavelli studied men the way a physician studies disease. He understood that human nature does not change across centuries. The same vanities, the same fears, the same hungers, the same betrayals, they repeat in every generation, in every court, in every workplace, in every friendship, in every bed. And the man who understands this pattern stops being surprised by people. He starts predicting them. So, train your eyes. When someone speaks, do not just hear the words. Watch the hands, watch the breath, watch the pause before the answer. Watch what they correct themselves on. Watch what they laugh at too quickly. Watch how they treat people who can do nothing for them. Because that is who they really are, not the version they perform for you. A man who is rude to a waiter will eventually be rude to you. A friend who gossips to you about others will eventually gossip to others about you. A woman who lies easily about small things will lie easily about large ones. A man who cannot control his anger over traffic cannot be trusted with power. These are not opinions, these are laws. Listen to what people complain about, and you will learn what they fear. Listen to who they envy, and you will learn who they wish they were. Listen to how they speak of their past, and you will learn how they will speak of you when you are gone. Every conversation is a confession. The king simply pays attention to it. And here is the dark twist most men miss. Once you can read others, you must also remember others are trying to read you. The skilled ones, the dangerous ones, the ones who are quiet like you. So you do not just learn to read, you learn to be unreadable while reading. You give them the cover of a closed book while you are turning the pages of theirs. This is the silent war happening in every room you walk into. The king simply knows he is in it. Comment "I rule" in silence one more time. Eyes open, mouth closed, mind sharper than every blade in the room. The fortress within, building the untouchable mind. Now we arrive at the deepest chamber of the ruthless king's castle. The chamber no enemy can ever enter. The chamber no betrayal can ever burn down. The chamber where the real throne sits. The fortress within. Listen to me very carefully, because everything you have learned so far, the silent tongue, the unreadable face, the patient hunt, the power of being underestimated, the discipline of detachment, the eyes that read every man in the room, every one of those weapons is forged inside one place. Your mind. And if your mind is not a fortress, every weapon you carry will eventually be turned against you. A king with a weak inner world is just a beggar with a louder voice. He will collapse the moment life pushes hard enough. And life always pushes hard enough. So you must build the fortress. Brick by brick, day by day, in silence, without applause, without an audience, because no one is coming to build it for you. No woman will save you from yourself. No friend will carry your demons for you. No success will fill the holes inside you that you have refused to face. The fortress is a solitary construction. It is yours alone, and it is the only structure in your entire life that will never be taken from you. Machiavelli wrote that the prince must rely on what is in his own power, not on what depends on others. Read that again. Not on luck, not on loyalty, not on love, not on the kindness of the world, because all of those things can vanish in a single afternoon. The only foundation that holds is the one you build inside yourself, your discipline, your standards, your principles, your relationship with pain, your relationship with truth, your relationship with the silence at 3 in the morning when there is no one left to perform for. Most men cannot be alone with themselves. That is why they fill every quiet moment with noise. Music, scrolling, drinking, talking, anything to avoid the voice inside that asks, "Who are you, really?" when no one is watching. What have you actually built? What are you actually becoming? The ruthless king walks directly into that silence. He does not run from it. He sits in it. He listens to it. He lets it strip him down to bone, and then he rebuilds himself from the bone up, stronger, sharper, more honest than before. This is the work no one will see. The early mornings, the hard reading, the cold training, the journal no one reads, the prayer no one hears. The promises you keep to yourself even when breaking them would be easier. The temptations you walk past without telling anyone you walked past them. The standards you hold when no one is checking. This is the fortress, not the car, not the title, not the followers, not the applause. Those are decorations on the outer wall. The fortress is built from every quiet act of self-respect you have ever performed when no one was clapping. And once that fortress is built, something strange happens. The world stops being able to shake you. Insults bounce off you like rain off stone. Betrayals wound you, but they do not break you. Loss visits you, but it does not move in. You become a man with weight, a man with gravity, a man whose presence changes the temperature of a room before he says a single word. People do not know why. They simply feel it. They feel that you cannot be moved, and men who cannot be moved are the men who eventually move everything. Comment I rule in silence one more time. The fortress is rising, brick by silent brick. The crowning, walk out, untouchable. So here we are. The final chamber, the last door. And before you walk through it, I want you to understand exactly what has just happened in the time you have spent with me tonight. You did not watch a video. You sat through an initiation. Every section was a layer of armor. Every weapon was a key. The silent tongue, the unreadable face, the patience of a predator, the power of being underestimated, the discipline of detachment, the eyes that read every man in the room, the fortress within. These are not tips. These are not tricks. These are the bones of a different kind of man. And if you have listened closely, if you have actually felt what I have been saying, then something inside you has already shifted. You can feel it, can't you? That quiet weight in your chest, that deeper stillness behind your eyes. That is not my voice. That is your own power waking up after a very long sleep. Now hear me on this final truth. The world will test you. Quickly, soon, probably tomorrow. Someone will insult you, and you will feel the old reflex rise, the urge to snap, to defend, to explain, to prove. Do not. Breathe. Stay still. Let the silence answer for you. Someone will try to provoke you, to bait you, to drag you into noise. Do not go. The lion does not argue with sheep. Someone will underestimate you, laugh at you, dismiss you. Do not correct them. Smile small, walk slow, build in silence. Let your life become the answer they will one day be forced to read. Machiavelli has been dead for 500 years, but the laws he uncovered are alive in every room you will ever walk into. Power is not a costume you put on. Power is a discipline you live. Every quiet morning, you choose growth over comfort. You sharpen the blade. Every time you swallow a sentence that did not need to be said, you thicken the wall. Every time you refuse to react when the world wants you to bleed in public, you climb one step higher onto a throne no one else can see. You will not become untouchable in a day. You will become untouchable in 1,000 small choices made when no one was watching. The man you are becoming is being forged right now, in the silence between this sentence and the next breath you take. Honor him. Protect him. Do not betray him for cheap applause. Do not trade him for shallow comfort. Do not sell him to people who do not even know his worth. And remember this, always. The loudest men in the room are rarely the most powerful. The most powerful man is usually the quietest. He is the one watching, the one waiting, the one who has already decided the outcome before anyone else realized the game had begun. Become that man. Be the calm in every storm. Be the silence in every argument. Be the patience in every hunt. Be the fortress no insult can crack and no betrayal can burn. This is dark power. This is the path. Walk it. One last time, before you go. Drop I rule in silence. In the comments. Make it your seal. Make it your vow. Make it the 4 words your future self will thank you for typing tonight. If this monologue moved something in you, do not let it die in this moment. Like this video so it reaches the next man who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Dark Power so the next lesson finds you when you are ready. And turn on the notification bell, because the next time I speak, the world will already be moving, and you will want to be ready before they are. The throne is yours. Sit on it in silence.